What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. I watched the Jerry, it might as well have been the Jerry documentary. The first episode was a lot about Jerry Jones and how he bought the Cowboys, but the Cowboys documentary, just big picture, I get nostalgic about 90s stuff. I've said this before. I used to didn't understand why my dad always listened to the music that he listened to when he was a teenager or in college. When I was growing up, I'm like, this music sucks. It's so old. Then I realized the only music I listen to is stuff from my childhood. The movies I like are movies from the 90s. It's just, we all become our parents. And I heard a quote the other day, and it really resonated with me because as I'm 40 years old, having my first kid, you start thinking hey, in 10, 20 years, in 20 years, I'll be 60, my kid will be 20. You start, not necessarily looking at your mortality or thinking about mortality, but you get far, far away from your youth and you're like, God, it's I'm not old, but I'm definitely not young anymore. The quote was, the youth is lost on the young. It's kind of true, because when you're young, and I'd even argue when you're in your prime of your ambition, your aggression, and I'd say I'm a pretty aggressive human being. Most people I associate with, my friends, that work in different industries, tend to be pretty aggressive. And listen, it's easy when you don't have much or you want a lot to make bold moves, to take it's easy to bet it all, whether you're a gambler, whether you're 401k, and be more aggressive at 38 than it is at 68, right? And watching Jerry Jones, I grew up, my dad was a farmer, and I knew a lot of people who, farming could be very fickle. You could have an incredible 4 or 5 year stretch, and then you could have an awful 2 year stretch and lose your ass. But he knew a lot of, just because there are a lot of successful farmers in Northern California and the Valley, from basically Sacramento down to Bakersfield. There's basically 3 parts of California. There's the Bay Area, there's Southern California, then there's the Valley. And forever, Southern California, was known as Hollywood in the movie world, the entertainment world. Obviously, Northern California, Silicon Valley, and then the Valley, then the Valley from Sacramento to Bakersfield was kind of the farming area. And a lot of these farmers, the successful ones, some of these people didn't have college degrees. But what they did have, and I see some of this when I see the young version of Jerry, is they just had big balls. They had stones. And I think a lot of successful people, still to this day, but it's a little different now than back then, where you could just do it all on guile. You could, if you had a personality and you had some stones and you were willing to do things that most people weren't, you could have some big hits in whatever world or industry you worked in. And obviously Jerry, claimed, who knows, some of these stories as you age become stuff of legend, but he had turned an $800,000 oil well into $100 million. And because of that move, he was able to buy the Cowboys when the owner, was in the banking industry, and we must have hit a big recession. George W. Bush was in this, and he was talking about a big recession hit, and the owner had to sell, and Jerry was able to buy the Cowboys because then he had to borrow another $50 million. But you're just watching Jerry. It's this guy had just huge balls, and he was just willing to do things that most people were not willing to do. And it started with immediately gets rid of a legendary coach and brings in his guy. Now, Jimmy Johnson was a star coach at Miami, but Jerry didn't give a shit. Blowback, everyone hated him. Everyone thought he was just, some redneck from Arkansas, and Jerry just came in guns blazing. And you watch the Jerry now, because I think about this sometimes. I want my son to see a guy who is not afraid. And I don't mean I'd step in the ring with Chuck Liddell. I just mean the way we approach life. We got some balls. We're willing to take some swings. And we're not always going to get it right, but we're not afraid to fail. And that was, watching this, why the Cowboys hit it big, is Jerry didn't care. And Jerry believed in something. He got the coaching hire right. And the Cowboys, within a couple of years, were winning Super Bowls. And everyone that was a hater became a lover. And I think you see the guy now, you're like, what happened? Is it just he's too rich? Is he have way more to lose now? just when you get older, even though his ego's as big as ever, he's just the Jerry Jones in the 90s wouldn't have hired Brian Schottenheimer in a million years. Say what you want about Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer was winning huge games at Oklahoma, like had a huge resume as a head coach. And I just think that, like, if I'm a Cowboy fan and I'm watching that, you realize what a far cry this franchise. Obviously, it's much more glamorous now. There's much more money, but who cares? None of that actually matters. So what? Jerry, Stephen, and Charlotte have better offices, or that Dak Prescott's meeting room is pretty cool. Like, yeah, we just don't win any meaningful games anymore. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is from the movie Blow with Johnny Depp, where he plays a big cocaine dealer. Fantastic movie, by the way. And at the end of the movie, when he's in jail, after basically Pablo and all these guys have gone down, and we've tried to take out the cocaine trade in America, and Johnny Depp's character, for anyone that's seen it, obviously was the main reason cocaine was coming into America, was he said that I've always said that my ambition outweighed my talent. And that always resonated with people because, like I said, my dad, like most of the farmers I knew or grew up knowing that were friends of my dad or my dad's kind of ecosystem, I always thought that these guys were just ambitious, aggressive businessmen. But they weren't like the smartest guy in the room. they couldn't walk into like Stanford and just blow people away intellectually. But they would put their nuts on the table when it came to business. And you watch Jerry and you're like, God, this guy had balls. And you watch him now, it's like, you're hiring Brian fucking Schottenheimer? Like, that's what you're doing? The rivalries, the marching bands, the upsets. Saturdays just got way more fun. College football is back, baby. Think you know the game? Put your college football knowledge to the test with DraftKings Sportsbook. And turn your picks into big payouts. From live betting during the rivalry week odds boosts and so much more. DraftKings Sportsbook has everything you need to stay in the action from the kickoff to the final whistle. Here's the thing. We got a top 25 matchup happening this week in Ireland. Iowa State taking on K-State. I've been listening to a lot of people. My guy Josh Pate, Iowa State, a little bit of a sleeper this year. You can get them right now. Odds are subject to change. Kind of like Iowa State +3 this week. Across the pond, Iowa State +3. I think I'm going to hammer it. So here's something special for first-timers. New customers, bet just $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code JOHN. That's code JOHN for new customers. Get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Okay, final week of the season for LIV Golf wraps up a little Midwest swing, starting in Chicago, where I attended, then went to Indianapolis, and finishes up this week with the team championship. John Rahm won the individual title, 18 milli, beat out Joaquin Niemann, who won 5 times this year. And now we go to the team championship, which got a little Ryder Cup feel, going match play the first couple days, singles and foursomes, to heading into the final day where it'll just be normal stroke play. And John Rahm obviously won the individual title. I like Legion 13, his squad, to win the whole thing and just keep collecting those checks and finish out the season in Michigan before guys like John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, and Terrell Hatton head to the Ryder Cup here in a couple weeks in New York at Bethpage, where I kind of like the Euros. But, yeah, should be a fun week in Michigan. Hopefully anyone there enjoys it. It's been a good little Midwest swing for the team championship. I know the Dallas Cowboy fans, a lot of people hate Dallas because how often people talk about them. But the reason people talk about them a lot is because they have the huge fan base. No different than talking about the Lakers or the Yankees a lot. It's just a numbers game. But it's pretty embarrassing when you think about it. It's like, I know Mike McCarthy took a lot of crap. I mean, the guy was a winning coach for the Green Bay Packers and won a Super Bowl. To go to Brian Schottenheimer, who no one was going to ever make their head coach. I mean, would Brian Schottenheimer have become an offensive coordinator anywhere? And obviously everything that's going on with Micah, like how's he going to overcome this? But like what a far cry you watch that documentary with Jimmy Johnson, what a throwback time. I mean, just kind of a different world. There's something pure when you see some of these clips. Like this wasn't the 60s with Bear Bryant. This was the 90s, like 1992, which doesn't sound that long ago, but when you do the math, that's well over 30 years ago. It looks like they're just practicing on a field that I would have gone to recess, and played at Pioneer Elementary. I mean, the field doesn't look great. It's like, I don't even know if this is a facility. It's like Troy Aikman throwing passes to Michael Irvin on a field that looks like at any moment someone could roll their ankle in like some little indentation that an animal had dug. And it's just where now these fields are perfectly manicured. They're either turf or they're mowed every day like it's, Yankee Stadium. Like I've been to the Niners practices, the Eagles. I mean, they're just pristine. And you look back at these clips of like Jimmy Johnson roaming the sideline. Even when I grew up watching some of the clips of Bill Walsh, it's like, where are these teams practicing? There's such. I laugh because in this doc, a huge element, it's stuff of legends to this day, is like when Jimmy Johnson traded Herschel Walker. And nowadays, when your team sucks in any sport, it's like, why do I need this great player if my team sucks? I should trade him, right? I'm going nowhere. This guy has a lot of value. It's the easiest way to reset my franchise. The Cowboys were winning no games. I think they were like 0-6 or 0-7 at the time, and they traded Herschel Walker. And everyone's like, wait, you're telling me he'll fire Tom Landry and trade our best player? It's like, your team sucks, and your team has sucked for several years. Who cares how good this player is? But it makes you realize, back in the day, the way these teams made a lot of money was getting you to show up at the game. This wasn't, I think about like when I was a kid and I watched, I grew up, our local games were for basketball were the Sacramento Kings. And I didn't have cable TV because where I lived, you either we didn't get basic cable. You had to get either the satellite or nothing. And we didn't get the satellite till probably like 2000. So like my freshman year in high school. And we used to just have basic channels, right? ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, and like our local channel. And the Sacramento Kings, who like any NBA team plays 82 games, I'm pretty sure we got like 25 or 30 games. Like that was the local TV deal. You got a quarter of the games, and that wasn't that long, 25 years ago. And nowadays, everything is predicated on the television numbers. So whether you come to the game or not, like no one would just suck and just not trade Herschel Walker for a haul. So I think the world has changed so much in sports. That's why I said with Myles Garrett, Jimmy Haslam was given a get out of jail free card. He asked for a trade. Your team sucks. He's an all-time great player. You could just press the pivot button, trade him for a haul. But it's like, no, we got to keep him. Do you really? No, you don't. The right move would have been to trade him. But yeah, man, I get a little nostalgic watching that documentary. I'm excited to watch the rest. I highly recommend it. This is not a paid advertisement. This is just a lover of football. There's something too, and we were talking about this morning in the pre-show meeting. Now we know so much about guys, social media, guys have their own YouTube channels. So many guys have their own like documentaries. And there's not a mysterious element to basically any famous person anymore. And back then you're like, wait, these guys have a home where hookers and cocaine just wait for them after practice? Like, this is really going on? Like, some of these stories with Michael Jordan, no one actually knows if it's true or not because we just don't know. It's like, is this true? Maybe. Did he really slam an 18-pack and then score 45? No one's ever tweeted about it. No one's ever shown me video about it. It's just stuff of legend. It might as well be true. And sometimes when you hear these stories, you like want them. It's like, this is badass. And now we have the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder just won the championship and half their guys never had a beer. Meanwhile, Michael Irvin was saying, yeah, we were all doing blow, ecstasy, and hookers. So it's just different time, fun times. It's almost like a movie. Remember when ESPN got shipped from the NFL for playmakers? It's like, guys, it's kind of like the mid-90s Cowboys.